it's Gila Nehemia. I wanted to welcome you to Sacred Erotic Poetry, Sacred Sexuality, and Ascension podcast. Thank you so much. This is Gila Nehemia. Before we begin this podcast and I introduce myself, I'd love for us to just sit, if you have a sacred space you're listening to this, or if you're in the car, if you can just breathe with me 3 times, and I'm going to say an invocation prayer. So I'm inviting you to breathe. If you can close your eyes, if you're not driving, that'd be great. If you are driving, please keep your eyes open on the road. So thank you. So let's take 3 deep breaths right now. Deep from your diaphragm all the way up to, your higher chakras above your head. I'm inviting in our guides, our light teams, our ancestors, our angels, God, Source, Universe, Holy Mother, Holy Father, Christ, Sophia, our power animals, Mother Gaia, Father Sky, all of the insects, all beings, all living beings, to assist us in this session, to connect us to our true liberation, to connect us to freedom, and to living from our hearts, regardless of anything, anyone, any kind of force that is outside of us. Aho, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So those of you who don't know me, I'm Gila Nehemia. I am here to empower people, primarily women, who have been in chronic trauma situations, such as domestic violence, bullying, sexual abuse, child abuse, things of that nature, and really stepping into our power. And I feel like we've come out, we're still in the Lionsgate energy. Actually, today, if you look into the sky, this is recorded on Wednesday, the 11th of August. If you look into the sky, you should see the Sirius star. And I know I mentioned this in July. It was aligned with the sun. Now it's aligned with the earth and all the pyramids of Giza in Egypt. So you should see it in the night sky tonight. And this is our spiritual sun. Like, this is kind of our North Star. And it's like really nice that it's coming in this Lionsgate energy, because it's really helping us to step in our power. And I just wanted to talk about that, like true liberation. I've been hearing it on all fronts of people that I've been following, and astrological reports also for the coming up of the full moon that's on the 22nd. And I'm just like, I'm feeling it myself, and I wanted to talk about this true feeling of liberation. And I had written a piece about disempowerment, and I'm going to share a poem that I wrote in there, and I'll link to it in the details. And I feel like, this has been my life. How can I step into my power? And I'm going to talk about a controversial topic today. And I feel like it needs to be shared. I've been talking about it more and more, and I just feel like it's just really important to me, and I can't really skirt the topic anymore. And I usually just talk about love and spirituality and, our internal struggles and things like that. Though this is coming straight to my heart, and I feel like it's important to share, and it's definitely going on. So it must be important to address at this time. So I'm going to be talking about the vaccine, for this pandemic, this COVID vaccine. And I really am not, I'm not in a position to tell you what to do. I completely respect your judgment and your opinion for whatever you chose. Personally speaking, I just wanted to share, because I've been thinking about this. I've been feeling some pressure to vaccinate my children. I am not vaccinated, and I feel like it has to be my choice whether I want to vaccinate or not. And I feel like, my children got vaccinated when they're very young in New York, because that was the mandate, that was a rule. You can only put your children in school if your children are vaccinated. And there was like a laundry list, right, of vaccinations. And when I grew up in like in the 70s, like my parents had to vaccinate me, but there weren't that many, and now it's very long. And so I feel like, and I did do it, my husband and I did agree to do it. And now I don't believe in that anymore. I believe that the children are very healthy and they don't need these things. They can fight diseases on their own and, with their immunities, keeping up strong. Um, I'm not here to really refute and give you answers or reasons for what my decision is. That's not the point of this podcast. The point of this podcast is liberation and the freedom to choose in all cases. And I feel like that's been my life's journey. When I was working in a hospital, I had to take the flu shot. And I actually didn't want to. And this was like while I was, this was my husband was sick. And I said, I don't want to take the flu shot. And they were like, well, you can't work here. They basically said, they didn't say that point blank, but they were like, if you don't, we kind of can't employ you. It was kind of the line, and I was like, well, that was my livelihood. What was I going to do? So of course I did do it, even though now I can think of other things. But at that point in my life, I was like, okay, they're forcing me to do this. I don't really have a choice. So therefore I must take the flu shot. And I took it, maybe I did get a little bit sick, and then I went on, and I was, I felt disempowered. I felt like you're forcing me to do something I don't want to do. Why? Is it my performance? No, it just has to do with compliance. And actually there's a whole section in the hospital that's just about compliance to the rules of insurance, compliance to the rules of the state, compliance. There's a huge department for compliance. And like, I want to talk about that word compliance. I didn't want to comply, but I did. And I feel like this time I don't want to comply. I'm feeling really strongly about that, taking a stand about, even if I'm one of 10 million, why can't I take a stand? What is this whole feeling of peer pressure? And I feel it's a tactic, honestly, it's a tactic to do what other people say, to do what the government says, to do what your family say, to do what your neighbors say. It's like really strong. It's a strong pull to want to conform. You want to be a part of a group. But at the same time, if you don't have those same leanings, if you don't have that same thought pattern, why should you? Because why should I give my children a vaccination? Because they have to go to school? Do they really have to go to school? Of course they want to. They have friends there, and I don't want to rob them of that experience. But at the same time, my child has every right to have that seat as a child next to them. And because they don't have a vaccination, does that mean they're more at risk? Does it really? I mean, I'm just questioning. I'm just asking myself the question. Are they really putting anybody at risk? And some people might say yes, and I don't believe so. All of these children are have very high immunity because they're children in most cases. I'm not saying every single case, but in most cases. And maybe the teachers are at risk. Maybe the teachers feel like they could be at risk for having a child in there. And I can understand if the child had symptoms or if we didn't check, but we have checked. They don't have anything. We've checked multiple times for certain reasons. And I feel like also if we're going to be asked to check every 72 hours, I'm not going to comply to that either. I don't want my children to be checked twice a week to go to school. Like that, I feel is too much of a burden for me. Even if I have to buy the test in the store, it's not. Why should I be spending, whatever, like $5 for each child 2 times a week? That's like $30 every week just for a test that I don't even believe in. It's one thing if I found that it was a necessity that I needed it, but I needed to prove something to the state? No, I won't do it. And I feel like this is important. This is connected to the rage. This is connected to the previous podcast about creativity. This is connected to liberation. This is connected to boundaries. It's so important to stand in what you believe in. And I'm not talking about, I'm just using the vaccination as an example. So if you agree with me or disagree with me, that's your right to have your opinion. I am like 100% with you in whatever you believe. I am just posing the question, are you standing in your belief system? Are you allowing another, party, figure, state, whatever you want to put it, person to tell you what to do and to like force you to do something you don't want to do? Just feel it in your body. When you decide to do something, do you really want to do it deep in your heart? This particular situation of the vaccination is separating families. And I feel like it's actually, instead of going into unity, we're going back into separation. So how do we step into unity? This is actually the bigger question. How do we step into unity when we have different schools of thought? Well, what I would say philosophically, everyone has a right to believe whatever they want to believe. Give them that space. That's what I feel a true egalitarian society is about. Giving everybody the space to believe what they want to. And I've studied this in school, so every type like socialism, communism, democracy, these types of philosophy on some level are not really allowing people to believe in what they believe. I taught school when I was when I graduated my master's program. I taught in a private school, and we learned about communist China, and I used novels. I used a nonfiction, autobiographical books to explain what was going on. And people, you may know already, like books were banned, they were burned, anything about God, getting rid of Confucianism in communist China, like that was a way to change the society through force. And I've always abhorred force, and it's very interesting, right? Because I actually experienced a lot of force in my own marriage, and like I had to be pushed to the wall to finally say no to force. I had to actually experience, a force and outside forces forcing me to do something I didn't want to do. And yet I still couldn't speak up for myself until many years later. So I find that interesting in and of itself. But the point of the matter is, throughout my academic career, I was always interested in the voiceless. I was always interested in because I felt that way. Because I felt like I didn't have any power. I felt like even though I have these feelings, I must comply. That's what I was taught to do. I was taught to comply, and I was taught to keep my mouth shut. Because by shutting your mouth and listening, even if you don't like it, you get to survive. But you know what? We're in a different energy right now. And we are being asked to stand up and say, yes, God supports me, the universe supports me, and I get to say what I want, whether you like it or not. Whether I am confined to my house and can't leave for, I don't know, how much long that you decide, that's my choice. I get to decide how I want to live my life. And if nobody agrees with me, so be it. So be it. I stand in my belief. I stand in my own ideology. And there will be people popping up. I know for sure. I definitely have friends who, who believe in me, but that's not the point. Even if they didn't, would you do it? And that's really a hard line. It's a hard line, but this Lionsgate energy talks about courageousness, about bravery, about creativity, about surrendering and trusting the process. If we didn't have Jesus, if we didn't have Moses, if we didn't have Buddha, like these like kind of ascended masters that listened in the face of, like it looked like all walls were against them, but they still persevered regardless of their challenges. They are our examples. Mother Teresa, Mary Magdalene, Kali, like goddesses and actual people. They are the ones to help us to get out of this cycle, because it's a cycle. Even to go back and talking about patriarchy, colonization, all of these things are forced. I force you to comply because I have the authority and you don't. So listen and do. Shut up. Be quiet and listen and do. Well, I'm not going to be quiet anymore. I refuse to be quiet. I refuse to comply. I'm not going to do something for somebody else's benefit. First and foremost is my own benefit. What do I put in my body? Do I want it there? Do I not want it there? That's my choice. I'm not going to listen to you because you say you have the authority because you're from, XYZ hospital, or you took it and therefore you were okay, so you're going to be okay. I'm not you. We are all unique souls living in unique energetic frequencies, and we get to decide what happens to us. Period. We are also the same. We have a similar biology, but not exactly the same genetic makeup. And it's just important to be loving and caring for each other and supporting each other in whatever decision that we have. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be. I know there is an element of I don't know how to say it, like an element of that I'm fighting. That I'm like defiant. I feel that in my voice. There's an element of defiance, and it's necessary in order to say, okay, this is what I think. But at the same time, I'm okay with any person who's sitting next to me, vaccinated or unvaccinated. I'm okay with anybody who says, I don't mind being in this society and listening to everybody, and another person saying, well, I really do mind and I want to do whatever I want. I'm okay with either way. Whatever makes you feel good, whatever your heart soars and you're feeling totally empowered, I'm all for you. And if you're feeling like you want to step in more to your power, I'm here for you too. I'm really working, honestly, I'm working towards really loving and accepting everybody, regardless of whatever the decisions that they choose, and not, just choosing love, really choosing love, really embodying that. Most of my clients, they say, oh, you're so kind, you're so compassionate. It's not something that I just do as a play. I'm not like just putting a mask. I was living with, Tibetan people for a few weeks, and they embody compassion and kindness. Tibetan Buddhism is all about that. I'm actually going to frame a piece that I bought there. It's a hand painted art piece, and it's called the I don't remember the actual name. I don't want to pronounce it incorrectly, but it's all about compassion and kindness and love and a real connection, to moksha, to dharma, to to just that space of emptiness. It just is. I'm just connected to love. It's like the eternal nectar. That's all you need. You actually don't need any food. It's just the eternal nectar of the universe. And that's what I strive towards. So it just upsets me deep in my heart, especially for a child. My children and I were talking about psychological influences of cartoons, of TV, of programs, of ways to get into your subconscious mind. And yeah, it bothers me. It bothers me. Do we even train our children to be loving, or do we train them to fight? Do we train them to kill other people? Do we train them to put other people down, to bully? What are we doing? What are we doing when we put our child in front of a television? And I used to do this too, put our child in front of a television because we are so spent, we're tired, we're stressed. We're like, okay, we just need a little bit of quiet. Let's turn the TV on. Are we really like taking care to have them watch the programs that are good for them? I mean, I'm just asking the questions because I am I've done it too. I've been in all the situations. I've experienced that. And to really be conscious about, am I sending love to my child even if I'm disagreeing with them? It's hard. It's really challenging, not to be on the defensive. And but sometimes I feel like I need that energy, like that anger, to like step in more to my power. It's really part of my own process, and it's that Kali energy in me that I need to come from that place to step into my power and then level up into more love. That has been my process, honestly. I'm really just being honest with you, and you may or may not agree with that, and that may or may not suit your needs, and that's cool. I'm fine with that, but I'm just tired of spiritualizing and being in love and light without allowing myself to feel all the feelings. So I wanted to share a poem with you. It's called, I didn't actually name it, but it's in that piece, Disempowerment. Anger jailed me, kept me in fear, shook my bones, I cowered, hid, allowed people to hurt me, demean me. Upon their departure, emotions wild, rage unleashed, waiting beneath the surface, uncontrollable seething, foaming at the mouth, cutting, mean, ruthless, slowly transmuted from destruction to creation, burning to transformation. Now, when anger calls, I welcome it, consuming me for moments to release the wrath, rising each time to allow the pureness of the light to flow freely. So thank you for listening to that. And as I said in that poem, that is a process for me, because it's so deep-seated, because it's been going on for eons, for generations. It's in the cells of my body. So every time there's a spark, I get into it. I write about it. I talk about it. I, really feel it in my bones, and I just let it out screaming. I just let it out from my throat because I've kept it in for too long. And even though it's been, I don't know, 4 years I've been doing this, there's more there. There's more there. There are more books to be written. There's more things to share. There's more inspiration inside, and that's how I access it. So if that's how you're accessing it, I'm honoring you. I'm inviting you into the space of not shying from it and going into it. And really, the topic today is liberation. How can we liberate ourselves from powerful figures in our society that are ruling our life, that's conditioning us to do things that we don't want to do? How can we at least be conscious about it and decide? That's what nirvana is, right? It's consciousness. It's going into higher consciousness. And, and actually nirvana at this point would be like, okay, these things are happening. I don't need to engage. That would be the highest response. I'm not there yet. But the highest response is, I don't need to engage. It doesn't really need to bother me. But there is something that is bothering me. So I'm voicing that. And through that, it's going to release another portal. So I'm inviting you into that space. I'm inviting you into transmuting any feelings you have to move into higher states of consciousness. I don't know where that's going, but that's where I feel I'm going. And if that's your path, if this is resonating with you, you like step into it, schedule a call with me. Let's talk about it. I'm more than happy to share and, to hold space, or to just hear your feelings. You may not agree with me and you want to talk, and that's fine. I'm not only calling people who agree with me, I'm calling people to come and just stand in their truth, to say what they feel and to really feel it. We don't have to have reasons behind it. It used to be like you have to have an argument and you have to have proof and you have to share. And, that's true. Of course you want to tell other people and inform them and give them reliable information. I agree with you, but there's also just feelings. And you can just go by feelings. You know, some people say to me, I don't want to take it. It's just my gut feeling. Great. If that's your gut feeling, don't do it. Don't do it. Sometimes there's a higher force guiding us and we can't explain it. And that's also okay. That's part of our intuitive system. That's part of our psychic powers. And they're coming online right now. All of these light codes are opening up to have everything come online, to open our voices so we can communicate more clearly, so we can really express how we feel and really be okay with saying, that's just how I feel. I don't need to give you 101 reasons. That's how I feel. And I'm complete with myself. So that's the message I wanted to share with you today, to step into liberation, whatever that means to you, whatever that word means, and to allow yourself to truly feel and do what you feel is necessary for your own life and for the life of your loved ones. So I'm honoring you, I'm witnessing you, I'm hearing and seeing you energetically as you step deeper into your own authentic self. Namaste, Om Shanti Shalom. I love you so much.